So hey loves, welcome to Slapping with Truth with your lady queen. Hey, so y'all know we don't bring nothing but the lovely guests from all around the world, rich and poor, to talk about their journey of how they remain confident to get to where they are today. And today, I got to tell y'all, we have a lovely guest in here. Now, this guest that we have, you might have seen some of his movies, you may have seen some of his plays, or maybe you just have seen him, out and about, directing and getting ready for everything. So, without further ado, I want to introduce to you all Cincinnati's finest, which he's now in Texas right now. So we're gonna say Cincinnati and Texas finest, okay?
For
So
sure.
the director Taylor Holston, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. It's good to be here.
Hey,
Truly.
it's great to have you here. Great to have you here. So
Hmm.
now you are on. Before we get started, I just gotta let the world know that you are a Cincinnatian, right? But now you're in Texas, right? Correct?
Yep. Home born and raised Cincinnati, Ohio.
Hey,
So
I love that. So how's the move so far? Talk to us about that before we get into it. How are you like in Texas over Cincinnati so far? Especially in the winter. It's freezing down here, so
yeah, that's the one of the main things. It's like in the low 60s right now. So, we still can wear our jackets and stuff. Not no coats or nothing. But as far as the move, it was just something I've been planning on doing, and I just ended up just doing it, and I'm, satisfied with the results. So I'm enjoying every moment of being down here, and I have no complaints at all.
well, I want to say congratulations on your move. I know you're gonna be down there. We're gonna be seeing some films from you down there in a
For
minute
sure.
soon. So
Yep, for sure.
but kind of tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, right now, I'm a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker. So I do films, I do plays, I'm a writer too. So I do a bunch of things that, pertains to the film industry and things of that nature.
Okay. So what got you inspired to do filming? Was it something like you always wanted to do when you was a child, or did it kind of just come to you one day? Like how did that come about?
It started, I would say, like middle school. I started watching a lot of movies, and when I was watching them, I can remember them, just off watching them one time, and I remember all vivid details. I can reenact the scene. I could do a lot, and I didn't look at it as a gift. I just looked at it as it's just something I could do. And I remember the older I got, people would say, filming is a tough industry to be in. You shouldn't be in there. So, I started focusing more on sports. And when I got to college, it became more of a reality. Like, am I going to listen to what people tell me to do, or am I going to do what I find a love for? And I just went to what I had a love for, and it actually worked out pretty good. And I'm satisfied with my results of, pursuing what I love to do.
Hmm. Now I want to talk about that for a second because we know as a young man that can be a tough decision to make, especially with peer pressure and a lot of different things out there. Can you talk about how you was able to make that decision to switch from where, okay, well, forget what everybody else want me to do. I'm gonna focus on this because most men they might be playing sports and they may really want to do something else, right? But
Hmm.
how do you make that switch and from that, like forget what everybody else want me to do. I'm gonna focus on what I want to do, even though sports is what a lot of people think men should do, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. That's a good question. I really looked at, that's what we got to do is, man, we have to look at what we will enjoy doing instead of like where the money's coming from. We have to think about what we enjoy doing for the rest of our life instead of looking at the financial reasons. But as far as playing, when I was playing sports, I've put all my focus into sports. But at some point, it's like a 1.2 chance of making it to the league. And, you got to put in your back behind your head, like, oh, so what I'm going to do when this is over? Because at the end of the day, everybody, even the pros, have a time where football is no more. So I just thought about it, and I'm just like, man, listen, this is what I want to do, and this is what's gonna make me happy, and this is what I think I'm passionate about, and this is what I think I'm good at. So I'm gonna pursue this. And I had a lot of people that saying still I shouldn't, I should find something else. I should minor in, theater. I should not put all my, you know, apples in this thing, and I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna forget what they saying because they gonna talk about it regardless if it fail or if it's success. They gonna have something bad about it to say. So I just ignored it and just pursued what I wanted to do. I wanted to look back 30 years and be like, well, I'm happy that I did this.
So, was there ever a time that you would say back before, like let's say back then when you were doing the sports and things of that nature, was it ever a time where you had to talk to yourself mentally? Like, what kind of things would you tell yourself when people did tell you, like, well, no, this is what you're supposed to do, or, that's not for you, or to basically gearing you towards what they want you to do? What kind of
Mhm.
thoughts did you would say you had to keep in your mind to kind of keep going to do what you wanted to do?
I just looked at it. I just looked at it like I'm gonna prove you wrong. And that was my whole mentality. Like, you saying it's no this and that, it's no this with this. You should probably think about this. I'm gonna prove you wrong. And a funny incident happened. My dad, great father, have no complaints. But this one, he was one of the ones who said maybe you should look into another career. Like you should look where some money is or something you could do, maybe business, you could minor in that. And I'm like, no, this is what I want to go for, and this is what I'm going to pursue. And in the back of my head, it really hit home when it's your family too. So, I had to keep telling myself, like, this is what I want to do, so I'm gonna do it. And it came to around to when I did my first play, I wrote and directed it, and I performed it. And when I performed it, he came in the audience and he seen it. He had a whole different perspective on it. He's saying, man, I thought I always see my son playing football on TV and watching him on there, but now I might be watching him on the big screen, in the movie theaters. So that was my whole mindset, is like, let me show you why I'm doing this instead of maybe you're right. So that was the biggest thing.
Hmm. So, what was your focus before you started in the music? I mean, the with directing and things of that nature. What was you doing before? We know you was playing sports, but what else was on your mind? Like, what things were you doing before that?
Before then, probably one of the main things was probably I was just playing other sports. That's the main thing that I was doing. Just working here and there and going to college. That was the main things, but besides sports. But sports was really the center of everything. That's what got me into certain positions and situations I'm in now. So that was the main thing I was doing, just, focusing in on sports and just staying out the way. That's the biggest thing, just being myself and not pretending to be something I'm not, or, going in another environment that I'm not accustomed to.
How easy was that for you as being a young man? Because did you stay? I mean, I know you grew up in Cincinnati, but did you stay like in what the projects? Did you stay in the suburbs? Like what was the area, your environment like for you, your surroundings?
So I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the Cincinnati area. Um, First, early childhood areas. I grew up in Avondale. Um, Before then, this is what I remember. I know it's other places when I was way younger, but I remember Avondale, definitely Bond Hill, and then that was the inner city, and then I moved out towards Mount Healthy and out towards Finneytown in that way. But the main thing is I've been around a group of people, and my friends I kept company around. I know what they was doing, and I know what life they was about. So I just knew I had to stay, focused on what it is that I want to do and what I want out of life, because some stuff, you learn from other people's mistakes. And I seen a lot of people take the wrong path and they ended up in somewhere they didn't want to end up. And, I just had to stay focused on everything. So I pretty much went through every stages of, from the hood to the suburbs and just stay focused, really the main thing.
As a young man, did you ever feel like peer pressure? Because a lot of young black men, I'm just asking, because a lot of young black men they feel the peer pressure of like they have to be like the neighborhood, you know, friends and things of that nature. Did
Yeah.
you ever feel that pressure?
Of course. That's something you can't really run from, because it makes you look at yourself as like maybe I'm tripping, maybe this is I'm overthinking this thing. So I definitely ran into peer pressure with a lot of things, especially even if we talking about sports wise, even if we talking about like childhood things, just playing playing the knicker knocker, doorbell things, going outside around in the backyard to smoke a joint or smoking some stuff, so I felt the peer pressure, but then I seen the end results of when I do fall into the peer pressure that it always lead into bad situations. So I try to manage them, and they don't do nothing but get harder the older you get. They get more tougher and they get more experienced. So early on, I would say I ran into a lot of peer pressure that I had to overcome, especially with just staying in school, and graduating. You know.
And I heard you say that you had your father was in your life, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How important do you think that was for you?
I think that's very important. My father wasn't he slacked in areas, not too many, but he was definitely in my life, just financially. I think that, and I think if he had it, he definitely would, but he helped where he needed to be helped at. But it's not even just a financial part. It was just a part of him being in my life and him coming to get me over the weekends, him coming to, just support me, even at my games. He's I have no complaints. My father he has a big impact on my life and who I am today and how I am as a man. So it's just important just to take care or just to be in your child's life. But I have no complaints in areas that my dad wasn't there in or wasn't 100% in. But at the end of the day, he was there, and that's what really mattered between everything. So.
Do you think it would have been different for you, or the mindset would have been a little different for you had your father not played a role in your life? I mean, your father yourself now, correct?
Hmm.
So do you think, because I know a lot of young men and women, they don't have their father in their life, right? But you was blessed to have your father in your life. Do you feel for the young men out there, just talking to young men, because I want to hear from a man say, I was raised by my dad myself.
Yeah.
So I love me. I just want to say kudos to, you fathers out there. We are blessed to have you all.
Hmm.
But I just want to know, like, do you feel like it would have been different like without your father there, and what things may have been different, like what roles do you think may have been different had your father not been around?
It definitely would have been different. It definitely would have been different. I personally feel like my father being in my life, taught me so much. It taught like I real will say that I am the man I am because of him in ways, but how my life will spiral out of is like I wouldn't have that discipline structure, to get his opinion on things and hear what he got to say, and just even him coming down on me, like, or telling me stuff. My coaches did the same thing, so if I didn't get that from him, I probably would have snapped on my coaches or something like that. So moving forward, I know somebody personally didn't have a dad in their life, and it's their life is just out of control right now, so it's tough in that aspect. So just the impact of that fathers have on them is like huge. I know we sometimes shine a light on mothers and all that, but fathers has a great impact, and I think my life would be different if I didn't have my dad in my life.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. Something you shared with me, you said a gentleman is one who puts in more than he takes out. And I think this kind of goes right here to, your father, and you. Can you kind of
Hmm.
elaborate on what you meant by that?
So I feel like every man should have an impact on this earth. When they come on this earth, you should leave something, a seed or something, and not necessarily like a kid or anything, but a seed that you gave a person, or a person stopped doing this because you said this to them or you explained this to them. You just want to put more into something than what you're taking out and what you're getting from people, or what they're receiving from you. You want to put more into the world than more than you take out the world. And it goes back to just me throughout all my life. I wanted people to lead. I wanted to lead people by example instead of you know leading them in a way of destruction. I wanted to just lead, like, look at him. He's this, he's that, he's staying in school, he's doing that. So I just want to put more into the world. The world see me as this person, and this person, this is a good view of this person. Then I'm taking out of the world. I'm getting all the riches. I'm getting all these things, and I'm taking all of the worldly stuff. Then I'm not putting nothing back into the world. So
I love your answer for that. And one of the things that I want to touch on is, how important do you think it is for young men, or men in general, and women? I'm just talking
mhm.
men because I would love to hear men's point of view on this. How important do you think it is for men to actually stick together and inspire each other to do better?
I think that's very important. I think if you look at every demographic, the Black community is the one who we are our own enemies. We clearly are. Like, even in my city, deep down, I love my city to death, but it's not, I'm gonna help you get to this point. It's more so, now I'm gonna get here before you, or it's a competition, and it shouldn't be that. And I feel like we should look at things more of togetherness. Let's get there together. Let's bring more people up. And that's what I mean by putting more into the world. Let's put more into there, and then have a clean slate of people that you help get to the top, instead of people saying to crash you down, or he don't look out, he don't do this, he don't do that. But we just have to stop being individualized and stop thinking that a Black man is after another Black man. Like, we have to stop that. We have to change our mindset. That's what we really have to do. We just have to change our mindset on everything. Like, if you look at me and I look at you, we both come from the same cloth. Ideally, like, you probably don't have your father figure. My mother single, your mother single, and that's stuff we got in common, not stuff that we should be going at each other for. So I don't know. It's real like deep and levels to all this, but I just feel like we need to come together instead of coming against each other.
That now I agree with that, because especially in Cincinnati, one of the things I know from when I moved to Delaware and I, had to come back. But I will say I feel like Cincinnati, and I love Cincinnati. I love my
Absolutely.
Cincinnati's. I love y'all. But y'all are so competitive. Like,
Yes.
everybody's in
Absolutely.
competition here. It's like you said, it's more so like, let me keep my foot on your neck until I get up there, and then
Yeah. Then
I'll
I
help
try
you
to.
when I get there,
Yeah.
So, and I've seen that myself. So, and I just want to speak on that when you said that. Thank you for speaking on that, because I thought it was just me as a woman, but to hear a man saying it, it's like, okay, it's not just me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now you're a director, right? So let's
Hmm.
kind of speed it up. So you're a director now. So tell us about, how was it? How did you go about, even? I mean, because there's a lot into directing and making the plays and movies. How did you even like start to create your first? Was it a play or a movie? Which one was your first one? And how did you go about even like starting, getting the people? Like, how tough was that for you?
Man, so I'm really a Christian, man. I believe in Jesus. That's my Lord and Savior. So starting, when you are like moving in your gift, and I said this to a couple of people I know, like they actually in their gift that there was here to do stuff, just start pouring in and opening doors and stuff like that. So it was challenging, because we go back to that aspect of people saying, man, you shouldn't be doing that, or why you doing that, that's this, and that ain't no good look for you, and this and the third. And I just had the mindset of, all right, I'm gonna prove you wrong. So we have to get to a point where we take our time in our own spaces where we are alone, And that's where it was. It was like a time where I'm just by myself. I'm like, well, let me start writing. I can tell stories. I got this in my mind, and it's a gift that I got from the Lord. And I'm like, man, let me explore it. Let me start talking and typing and telling this story in this way. So when I wrote my first one, it took a minute. It took a minute. It was I had a lot of, I ain't gonna say a little, but I definitely had a lot of, brain jitters and, stoppages and procrastination. But once I finished it, it was like I did the hard part. And once you present something and you doing it for the Lord, all stuff just start come rolling in. Like, oh, you need more people, you need more, you need this, you need that, you need this and the third, and people just start filing in, and it just became a success. And that's when I really, after doing the first play, that's when I really heard, God speak to me and say, yes, this is what I want you to do. I want you to reach my people in this aspect. And other people got other ways. Preachers, that's how they reach people. Pastors, they reach people in different aspects. But this is when I truly heard him, like, yeah, this is what I want you to do, and I want you to do it in this way, in this fashion.
So when you said that the first play, you had stuff going through your head, can you tell us about what kind of things that was going through your head for maybe for other young men out there that's trying to become a director and that may have the same thoughts going through their head? Can you just kind of talk about that for a second?
Yeah, it's stuff. Yep, it's stuff like, oh, that don't sound right. Oh, they ain't gonna laugh at that. Oh, that don't make sense. Or this, and the third. And it's just the small stuff that you think that people are not gonna be entertained for, and you just overthinking it. You're just not thinking in a way. Cause I wrote so many plays where I'm just like, okay, type it, finish it, have them read it, and they blown away by it. And I'm like, wow. And then some stuff that you write, you don't even know you wrote it. When you just in that mode, you writing it, you be like, oh yeah, that's what I was trying to get. So it's just when you locked in on something, just stay locked in. Don't let your mind take over to give you those negative thoughts or those, let me rewrite this or let me do this, or it was a bunch of times I put it on pause, like, let me work on something else. Let me get this homework done, or this is then the third. And when you come back to it, it's like, well, that don't even make sense. When you could have just kept going and finished it out, and then it all made sense in the end.
So talk about the moments where you put it on pause. What was that like? And then, like, what made you put it on pause? Like, why would you put something on pause?
So, if we fast forward to like right now, I'm working on something right now, and it's dragging. It's taking its time, and it's like I have it all here, but I can't put it into the terms of just staying focused on it. So when I put things on pause, I come back to it. I just take a time to, think and breathe and probably venture out and figure something out to come back to it and try to figure it out. But the main thing that happens when you have these moments where you stop, it's just testing your mind and your ability to think. That's literally all it is. It's just testing my mind and ability to think, because I have a bunch of brain fogs. And sometimes I just push through it and I try to figure it out, or I pray and I get the answer, but it's other times I just can't come up with it right now. So I don't. And another thing, you can't feel defeated either. You can't feel like, I ain't gonna be able to do it. No, you gotta just let it be, come back to it, and come back to it with a different mindset. Okay, so how can we make these two come together? How can we do this? You just gotta come back with a different mindset of what you had in the first time.
So talk about feeling defeated for a second, because a lot of young men and women, a lot of people all out the world feel defeated daily. So kind of talk about that, and what things do you tell yourself or do you do to get over that, like to get over that feeling?
Man, one great thing that I find myself doing when I feel defeated is looking at the outcome, looking at the finished product, looking at when it's gonna be done, what's gonna happen, looking at, man, because it gives me even more motivation to where I am done with it. And now I'm doing post stuff. Now I gotta get this venue, I gotta get this ready, I gotta figure this out. I want to get there. So if I want to get there, let me just get done with this, because this is what stopped me from getting there. So when it's come to like discouragement and all that, you just gotta look at how many people gonna be touched by the play, or when I get done with it, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that. You gotta look at long down the road. You know, they say success is a marathon. You know, that's what it truly is. It's really a marathon, you know, because when you really get done with it, you look back. We don't even, because this is the thing too, we don't even look back at what we did. When we get done with something and it took a long, we don't even sit here and be like, dang, I did that. We just sit here and be like, all right, now we got to do this. Now I got to do this. Now. But we don't look here and be like, dang, I just wrote a 59-page thing in this amount of time, or I just finished this. We don't do that. So just look in the future. Look at what you're going to accomplish. Like, look when you get done, like, dang, I just did this, and this is a whole book, you know?
I like that. So
Introducing our Clarity Mastermind Starter Kit, the kit for those looking to overcome self-doubt and walk with fear and failure. And if that sounds like you and you're ready to plant the seed with our 13 principles, be sure to click on the link in our bio. And remember, if nobody else loves you, you already know Queen A does. Later.
I like that. So that's kind of like, was you kind of looking like that when you chose to move? Say you was gonna go from Cincinnati to Texas. Was you kind of like just move looking forward? And was it people that was kind of telling you like not to go to Texas? Because one of the things you said was, you know, that you thought the move from Texas was gonna be just sweet, you know, and that was like one of your biggest failure stories. But it's something you sit back and you laugh at now. So just kind of talk about that for a second.
Yeah, I truly, man, to be honest, the story about that is like, you know, when you asked that, I couldn't go into full detail, and I said I'll go into it, you know, on the podcast. But this full story of me moving down here was, you know, I was told, you know, the Lord told me like, man, you can't, what you're trying to do, you're not going to be able to do it here. And honestly, Cincinnati, like we both know, we both love our city to death. It's small, and it's like it's small minded too at some points, you know. So I just knew, and when I heard him say it, I didn't want to hear it. I didn't, you know, I was fresh coming out of college, graduating. I'm seeing my kid, you know, equally, and it was just I had a lot established already, and he just said it's time. And what I had to realize is it's not on my timing, it's on his timing, you know, whenever he's ready. So then as stuff going on, I'm just saying I'm ready. You know, I'm ready. I'm pumped. You know, I'm saying I'm going to Chicago. At some point, it was Atlanta. You know, I'm going to Atlanta. I'm moving down here. I'm looking at this job in Atlanta, this job, and it got to a point where I was saying it so much, people was like, "Oh yeah, you moving? Okay, okay." And then the next year, I don't move. Then I say I'm moving again. Then the people like, "Oh okay," I don't move. So when it got to this moment, people didn't even take it serious. Like people was just like, oh, okay, you know, you said you was moving last time. You said you was moving the year before that, you know, okay. And it just got to a point where I just said, man, listen, I'm going. I just gotta go. I can't worry about how much money I got. I can't worry about this. And I think my dad really made it kind of hard, you know, on me. You know, he really wanted me to stay, and I get it. You know, I'm his son, so it was like he really wanted me to like, man, you can make it here, or you can do all what you're trying to do here. And I'm like, Dad, I gotta go. I gotta go out and, you know, see things differently, and, you know, try to get a broader audience and stuff like that. But he was one of my biggest supporters. My mom, same thing, you know, she really want me to be gone. And I'm just like, I didn't want to get caught in the point where it's like I missed that window of when I was supposed to do something and I didn't do it. And then I'm sitting back with all this regrets or all these things that should have been happening. And truth be told, I honestly was getting pushed out. Like the Lord was pushing me out, you know, car notes and cars getting hit. And it was just a bunch of stuff that was just going downhill. And it was like he was forcing me to go. Like, you better leave. I'm gonna make you leave, you know? So I just looked on the calendar, and I said, this the day. And I told people, they still didn't believe me. When it got closer, that's when they start, oh, he's serious. Oh, he really about to go. And I just left. So it was a big failure. The biggest failure was probably me thinking I know when it's time to go, like I'm saving this amount of money, or I'm gonna save this amount of money, or it just made my mind go crazy just thinking, when is it my time to go? Like I can got this. I know when I'm gonna leave. I know this, but I was definitely wrong. Wrong about the city, wrong about everything.
And that's deep because it's like that story, what they say with the little boy that cried wolf. You keep saying something so many times, and when you actually tell the truth, they don't believe you.
They don't believe you. So that's when it really hit them, like, oh man, he was serious. So, yeah.
Now, so you have your daughter though. So how was that? So did you take your daughter with you, or how was that process of, did you have to leave your daughter behind? Kind of talk to us about that situation for a second.
So originally, like I said, I was just going to Chicago, I'm just gonna be there. That's 4 hours away, and it got to a point where I heard God tell me the destination. I'm like, dang, that's far. Like I ain't trying to go that far, but I'm like, I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? And it got to a point where I told my child's mother, and it was at a point where when I was in college, she had her full time when I was in college. So, she held it down. She had her, and while I was in school. Right. So I guess she's in school now, and I guess she didn't want that type, stress and pressure on her, while she's dealing with that, and she's so close to graduating. So, me, I'm a dad first. I'm gonna shoot. She can come down here. I'm not opposed to that. She can come right down here. It was probably tough on me, and it's probably tough on her, because if she was a boy, it was different. She with his dad, but it's a girl. So it's like, I got to do things differently. At this point, I got to be the mom and the dad. I got to be more sensitive, So, I'm not going to say I can't sit here and tell you it's easy, but it's definitely a challenge. But, it's something I feel like if I wasn't strong enough to do it, it wouldn't happen, so. But it's a blessing.
I heard you say I'm a dad first. Mm-hmm. And I want to just touch on that because you don't hear that a lot from young men. And it don't matter if it's black, white, it doesn't really matter nowadays. Can you just elaborate on why do you feel that it's important to you to be a dad first?
Well, I feel like it's important for me to be a dad first because we don't understand. Sometimes we don't understand the impact we have on kids' life, and it's no manual of how to be a perfect parent. It's no manual, and like the saying, they didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask for them to be born into a less fortunate house or a rich house and this and that, or this neighborhood. They didn't ask that. So I feel like it's important to be a father first, is because you are shaping that kid into the future. Like we don't understand, these kids is going to be in our society. These are the kids that's we going to sit here and say, oh, they invented this, or this is my doctor and she went to this school and she's related to this. These are the kids that's really initially we are pushing out into the world. And if we're putting all negative things, or if we're not stepping up, or if we see something that they're doing and we just don't care, like that's a bad look. And me, I always pride myself. I cannot be around anybody who's not taking care of their kid. I can't do it. I can't be around you. I can't socialize with you. We don't have nothing in common. I'm coming to people I'm around that have kids struggling. Like I'm telling them, oh, she did this. My daughter did this. And they saying, my son did this. My son did this. We got stuff in common. I can sit here and say my pain and you tell me your pain. But if you sit here, I'm telling you about what my kid did and you don't even got yours, it's like, that's one-sided. We have nothing in common. I have no respect for that. And that's just me being real. Like I have no respect for that. So.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that because I never understood something, and I want to ask you because you're a man, right? I want to hear from a man perspective. Absolutely. So I hear a lot of men say, And I don't know because I've never been a baby mama to keep their, a queen to keep their child away from their father. But I hear men say that since their baby mom is making it so difficult for them, that they're just gonna wait until the child get 18, and like I'm not gonna deal with all that. Like I'm not gonna deal with the headache. Can you just speak to that, or do you agree? And or if you don't agree, why or why not?
I mean, I personally, just me off, just being personally, you know, I pride myself. I knew not to give a reason for that. I'm not about to give you a reason for you to say, "Oh, I'm keeping my kid away from you," or this, then a third, and this, then a third. No, when you show up in that kid's life, you give that woman no reason to sit here and keep the kid away from you. That means she's being spiteful. And I understand some women are like that, and they do that. But at the end of the day, it's still like I have to look at what I'm doing. I do have to look at what am I doing. Am I doing wrong, or am I, not understanding that this is the woman she is? So let me just go back because I want to see my kid. Sometimes you got to sacrifice stuff. If you really want to be in that kid's life, you got to sacrifice certain things that she's doing that's irritating or that's getting on your nerves in order for you to see your kid. So I know it's like a double standard in some points, but at the end of the day, it's like I want to be in my kid's life. So some stuff I'm just gonna tolerate. I tolerate it in order to, see her and FaceTime her and, still be in her life. I'm gonna tolerate that stuff. I'm just gonna go with it. But at the end of the day, some stuff we gotta look at ourselves. Like, man, what am I doing? Did I not send the money? Did I not pick her up? Did I stand her up the last time I said I was gonna come get her? Did I not get her? We gotta look at ourselves sometimes. So, but everybody's situation is different. But that's just how I view things. I have to look at myself first before I sit here and say, well, she's not doing this, she's not doing that. Well, let me not give her a reason to start doing that. And now I see, oh yeah, this is just how you acting.
And I was always curious about that because I know I was, like I said, I was raised by my father. And I remember somebody saying my father couldn't come and see me and he'll come there anyway. Like, let
Yeah,
everybody have it. Like, ain't nobody keeping me away
for
from my
sure,
baby,
for sure.
right? So that's why I just thought that was kind of crazy. And I'm like, well, let me hear it from another man's point of view, a younger man, because I know, I come from the 80s. So I just kind of wanted to hear it from your point of view. And to
Yeah,
hear you say that, you sound like my father, like it didn't matter. That's kind of how my father felt. Like it didn't
yeah.
matter. It's up to me, like, right? And nobody
Hmm.
can stop me from being a dad. And so I'm
Exactly.
grateful to hear you say that. So we got that. I want to talk about something you said that a lot of people might not think. And I want to understand how you overcome this. Is you said that before you go on camera, a lot of people might not understand that you get nervous.
Hmm.
Right. So
Hmm.
can you explain to us like why you feel you get nervous, or how do you overcome the nervous feeling?
I think it's more so that getting outside your comfort zone. I think it's one of those things. I don't know why. I did so much, so many plays, so many movies, films, and public speaking. I did all of it, but I still get this nerve or this nervous feeling. And I think it's just I heard a comedian say it once before, like, he gets nervous and he go out there, and if they laugh at the first joke, he's good. Like all his jitters go away. And that's kind of like with sports too. Like when I play sports, I make my first mistake or the first play of the game, I see how hard they hitting, or I see, how what kind of team they is. You be more relaxed. It's more like, oh, okay, I can do this. So it's like when I'm about to go on that stage or I'm about to present that play, I'm still like get this nerve to me, and then I start just relaxing, and I start just talking to him regularly, having a conversation. So it's just something I'm still. It's just one of those things that I can't shake. This is like one of those things that people would never know, because I've been told multiple times like, you ain't look like you nervous, or you said the right stuff you was supposed to say. You was talking right. You didn't look like you weren't shaking. You weren't doing all that. But it's just one of those things where it's like some stuff people don't never know about you, that this is what he go through too. He's been doing this, and he still overcame it.
Hey, I love it. Thank you for sharing that
Mhm.
with us. Now, kind of talk to us about what plays you've done, what movies you done, and where can we watch these plays and these movies that you have?
So the plays I do is like I'll be doing them in my church home. So when I find a church home and they open their doors to plays, that's when I do it. And I remember the first play I did, I was beginning to charge people, and I looked at it, I was like, man, maybe they might not, come. Maybe that might be the reason why, you never know who's need to hear the message in the play, but this they last $3. This they last $5. So it's like, man, I'm not charging it for that. So I vouch to make any play I do, even at a higher success level, I vouch to make it free, make it open to the public, in a way they can see it. Now, the bigger they get, probably one day it'll be free, and then the other days, okay, because that's when you get your crowd. The first people come in was free, then they gonna open their mouth and start talking about it. Hey, okay, and then that's when you can, do the charging. But honestly, when I do plays, it's sometimes they just come out of nowhere. Maybe I just feel like doing it, or maybe a door open up that I can do it. But as far as movies, I got a film page on YouTube, Tremendous Home Films. All my films I did on there. Um, all my films will have a message on there, a powerful message that people can get and learn from, or see and understand. Like, oh man, maybe it's that serious, or maybe it's this. I just always vouch that my film company will have something that spiritually they will get out of the film. Spiritually they get or learn or understand or get something out of it. So, but it's definitely, the films are definitely on Tremendous Home Films YouTube page.
And I gotta tell y'all, so my daughter was in one of his plays, y'all,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I did see his premiere of one of his movies, and y'all gotta go check out his movie. So go check out that YouTube page. So now, before we wrap up, let everybody know, for those who may want to reach out to you and just follow you for anything that you may have going on, to see your next play drop, to see your next movie drop, just kind of let them know like where all they can find you at, and if they want to reach out to you, how to do that as well.
If they want to reach out, I'm on Instagram, the director 25. That's where I do most of the announcements and everything and stuff like that. And then I have a film page on Facebook, Tremendous Home Films on Facebook. And then on Facebook, my regular page is my name, Taylor Hostin. And then I have an Instagram page, THW Films. That is the film page that'll keep you up to date with all the things. I usually have casting calls on there. I usually have everything. All my information is put on those 2 Instagram pages and that Facebook page. So, but that's when they can all, see what I have in store and what's coming out and stuff like that. Oh yeah, and Honesty definitely was in a play. I was trying to get her in an upcoming film, but she was expecting, so I'm like, all right, so I just wait. But that's definitely one of those things I definitely wanted to keep open, because she started off as I was mentoring her, and I wanted her to be, help me with the production side of things, and I wasn't really ready for that. So we kind of, went our separate ways in a good way, and then I think I seen her outside of Kroger's, and I'm just like, hey, I got a, play I'm doing. Like, you want to be a part of it? She was like, yeah, let's do it. So it's just about keeping those connections too. So
yes, it definitely is. Do you have anything you're working on now? Because I heard you say earlier you're working on something, but let us know. Do you have anything coming up? Like, can we look anything we should be looking forward to? Like, give us just a little inside scoop on here on something. Just what can we look forward to?
yeah, so I'm working on something actually pretty big. This probably is gonna be my biggest project I'm working on, and I really can't give you the title, but I can say it will be a big production. I have a lot of money tied into this one. I have a lot of things that's going on in it, and I will definitely have a casting call. I believe I will be shooting it. I want to start it in March, but I do believe that it will be shot in both cities, Cincinnati and Dallas. So if you follow the pages I mentioned, you can definitely see the casting calls and things of that nature. So if anybody interested in, being a part of it, is more than welcome.
Hey, so see, I just got the scoop for y'all. Don't say I
Yeah,
didn't
for
now.
sure.
Just let y'all know we
Sure.
looking forward to something. We're gonna be watching you now. So
Mm-hmm.
and now before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to let the world know just from you? Like, is there anything that you would just like to say in general?
I would just like to say, keep putting more into the world. When you go from this earth, what are people gonna remember? Are they gonna remember you were this guy who was a good kid but caught up in around the wrong people, around the wrong this and wrong that? Was you that person that was nasty and nagging and treated people wrong? Or was you that person that people can say, oh man, that was a heaven sent person, or he was down to earth, he was this, he was that, he's gonna be missed? That's what you really want to look at. You want to put more into the world than more than what you taking out. You want to put more into it. Give back. See people for who they are, meet them where they are. So that's all I got to do. I mean, all I got to say, just put more into the world than what we taking out of it. Yeah, and I appreciate being on there. I appreciate being on this platform. I appreciate you, selecting me to be one of the ones to, get this out and, using this platform at how you do. A lot of people need to hear things from this perspective.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Just to let you know on here, my mom always says that this is the next time. What's his name? Tyler Perry. So my mom always says that about you. So I have to sit here. So that way when it happens, we can say we told y'all here first, okay?
Yeah, for
we
sure.
told y'all here right here first. So my mom is like your biggest fan, along with us. But when I say my mom loves everything he does, and she's like, "Oh, you talking about the next Tyler Perry every time?" So when I told her we had a podcast, she was like, "Oh, tell the next Tyler Perry." I said, so I said I will let him know. But that is how much he inspires us, you all. And I gotta say, when my daughter was in his play, we did go to it, and it was amazing. I gotta admit, I was surprised. I'll be the first one to tell you, I was surprised at how amazing it was because y'all didn't even take that long to put it together. I gotta tell y'all, it got put together quick.
Yeah,
and we went, and I went there like, okay, all right. But I must tell y'all, and I think it was like maybe, I don't know if it was 2 weeks or whatever, but that play was the best play that I had been to. And I got a video of it and everything. So I just wanted to give you your flowers on here so everybody can know that he really does what he does. And I love how he loves to put his people in there with him. He is very supportive. And so make sure that y'all reach out to him on these platforms, guys. So whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, check out all his platforms. Follow him because y'all don't know. You don't know. You may be the next star in one of his plays or movies. You just don't know.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, and also make sure before we leave, make sure that y'all also subscribe to Queen A Speaks and hear some more slapping with truth where y'all know we don't be nothing but guests from all over the globe that's going to help inspire you, right? That's what we bring on here. So we're not looking for drama. We're looking for inspiration. We're looking for motivation. And most of all, we're looking for clarity. And that is what you brought here today. And I must say, before I leave, is there anything else you want to say? Because I just got to say, it's just amazing that you're here and to see someone your age. Because before we leave, can you just let the world know, if you don't mind, about how old you are? You don't have to say the exact age if you don't want to, but I just want them to know because it's not a lot of young men your age putting this work in like you are.
No, it's cool. I'm not ashamed of my age. I'm 29. So I'm 29. I'll be 29 in about, I think it's 13 days. So.
Oh, he lied about his age, y'all. He's 28. 20. I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah. So, but I just got to say, just keep doing what you're doing too. A lot of people, don't understand, the vision and, what you got going and what you're trying to do. But at the end of the day, somebody's going to click on maybe all or even one of your videos and be inspired, So, and that's the thing I have to learn too. Like, just don't look at what people see on the outside. Some people are really, tuning in to this every day. And this is a great platform, and I feel like you need to definitely keep this going. And I definitely feel like I poured into the world on this platform. So
yes, you definitely did, guys. So without further ado, y'all know we're gonna let y'all get up off here because y'all know the director, he got some directing to do. All right,
yeah.
so we're gonna let him get back to work. And y'all already know, if nobody else loves y'all, Queen A does. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and all that good stuff. Later. Mwah.